Today we're back on the Am I the A-hole subreddit and it's going to be so fun. I'm always so excited for these episodes, and after about 4 days of not filming one, I start to miss it. I don't even know what it is. Something about it is so addicting. And yeah, I get the feeling today's episode is going to be super fun. Enjoy, guys. Am I the a-hole for checking my husband's dashcam footage on his car without his consent? I, 34 female, live with my husband, 37 male, and daughter, 7 female. My daughter and I recently went on a short trip out of state while my husband stayed as he had to work and was supposed to look after our dog. On the last day of our trip, we get a call from my husband who was acting distraught and said that our dog Ellie had run away and that he couldn't find her. He claimed that he just bolted away from him in the park into some bushes and he couldn't find her. Our dog is quite small, a mini poodle mix and almost 13 years old. She is active, but it's really unlike her to run away from us. And I was suspicious, but I chose to believe my husband. And me and my daughter were in grief, but we didn't want to blame him. When we came back home, he seemed surprisingly okay, unlike us. Ever since the pandemic, my husband started working from home, and he's always been annoyed at how much attention we gave Ellie, and hated how Ellie begged to sit on our laps and his while he worked. A few days later, we get a call from an animal rescue in a neighboring state, quite far from us, that says she's been found. I picked the phone and it was our landline, which we almost never use these days, but it was the contact on the microchip. I told my husband and he just said, "That's great, I'm so happy," but it felt kind of blunt and insincere. I said it is strange that she got so far, and he responded that someone must have stolen her and then abandoned her. This made little sense to me as to why that would happen. When he was out drinking with his buddies, I copied the videos from his dash cam for the days I was away, and I saw that he had indeed taken Ellie far out of state and clearly dropped her in front of his car and thrown a frisbee-like object into a field, yelled fetch, and then drove off without her. I was livid and I confronted him, and he just stupidly muttered how we dropped her there so she could find a farm and have a better life. And then the next day got really angry at me for viewing his dash cam and called me and my daughter a-holes. What? Yeah, so this isn't really like a question, is it? Of course not the a-hole. Oh, that's so sad. And you'd never be able to trust him again. Like the top comment says, keep your dog and your daughter and leave the husband in another state to find another family that he'd have a better life with. Yeah, that's unforgivable sort of stuff. Am I the a-hole for telling my wife that I'd be perfectly capable of doing what she does? I, 30 male, have a wife, 30 female, and a daughter, 7 female. I work in finance and my wife is a stay-at-home mum as I earn sufficient for both of us. My wife is a great stay-at-home mum and takes great care of our house. I was lucky to buy a home as I earn well in a medium cost of living city. I love my wife, but she finds it humorous to say that I'm incapable of doing household tasks. We had agreed that she would do them, and when we decided she would stay at home, and I do stuff occasionally when we're both home if she asks me to, but then if, say, I load the dishwasher for her, she'll claim that I did it wrong just because I do it different than she does, and it still cleans well. The other day we were eating and she told me about her day and how she went grocery shopping and optimized the cost by buying specific items at different specific stores and accounting for the cost of traveling to each store, and she made an offhanded remark that I would never be able to do that and said it in a "what would you ever do without me" kind of way. I replied back saying that of course I could do that. I handle complex decisions and calculations at my work as I work in finance, and that I have a master's degree and what I do involves more intellect than household operations. Even though I acknowledged and appreciate what she does, I would be capable if the roles were reversed. She got angry and seemed to think that I was calling her stupid when I wasn't, and then cried, and now I feel like an a-hole. She said she was a very good student and had she graduated she would be in my position as well. My wife and I met in college, but she was an international student studying physics and computer science, and she had issues with her loan from her home country and couldn't afford to complete it, and we got married then so she could stay. Initially she wanted to complete it later after finding the funds, but she agreed to be a stay-at-home mum when I got a good job, and I appreciate that a lot as we were able to have a kid early on while I was both completing my masters and working full-time. Yeah, nah, you probably shouldn't have said that. Yeah, like the top comment says, you the a-hole, your wife is a very smart woman who probably prepared her whole life for a challenging technical career, and now for better or for worse she's a stay-at-home mum with no degree or paying job. It's obvious that you're proud of your intellectual capabilities and the complex tasks that you tackle at work. It's obviously part of your identity and your ego, and your wife has none of that, even though that's what she wanted. What little source of pride that she has, her own spouse diminishes and minimizes. How would that make you feel if you were in her shoes? Would you consider supporting your wife to finish her degree? Am I the a-hole? I took $2,000 to get off the plane and I came home late. Delta gave me $2,000 to skip my flight. This is $2,000 that can be spent anywhere. The flight looked like it was going to get cancelled anyway. It did. So now I have $2,000 in a hotel stay, but my fiance is mad at me because I chose the money over coming home. But it looked like the flight was going to be cancelled. Not to mention, I called once and I texted once to ask her opinion, and she didn't answer either, so I had to make the decision by myself. She says because she's been in a semi-depressed state the last few days. It's crazy of me to ever make that decision. She hasn't communicated to me well enough how bad she really is right now. Last night when we spoke and she seemed better. Okay, that was probably the shortest post we've ever read, but no, definitely not the a-hole. Like, you making this decision with the information that you had, whether or not they're happy about it doesn't make you an a-hole. Like, if anything, yeah, there's not enough communication, but that doesn't make you an a-hole. And also, can't they just go home now with the $2,000? Like, isn't this a good thing? Am I the a-hole for telling my wife that my mum will never love her and to stop trying? I've been married to my wife for 2 years, and the best way to describe my mother is cold. She's not rude or anything, just disinterested in my wife. The best way I can explain my mum is that she's tired. She had a really hard life, doesn't have much affection left to give, and she rarely gets close to anyone. It's pure disinterest, and she can't bring herself to care about new people. She's a retired old lady that just wants to sit on the porch and not make small talk with people. We had a little get together at my mum's house. My mum doesn't like it when people bring food. She works all day to make a spread, and it's like her thing. She just wants to provide for the guests. My wife came from work and she brought food, potato salad. I stop her from bringing it in. The whole night she's just bothering her when she was on the porch, asking her if she wants to go on a shopping trip. When my mum asked for some quiet, she still talks on. When I was walking by, she asked me to take my wife away from her. This made my wife upset, but I did it since I could see mum was getting close to the end of her rope. We had to talk about what that was all about, and she just wants to be loved by her mother-in-law. She is being nice, so she doesn't get why she doesn't like her. I told her that my mum will never love her and to just stop. What she's doing is actively making her dislike you and to leave the woman alone. She called me a jerk and hasn't spoken to me since. Edit, I was told to include this comment from an info comment. Almost never, most of the time, if people join her on the porch, it's very little small talk or just join her watching the garden. She doesn't care how loud they are in the house or anything like that. She likes to watch others have a good time, more of an observer than anything. She asked for quiet with my wife since she was just going on for a while. My sister was out there and told me mum tried politer ways to ask her to be quiet, and it didn't work. Also, the direct request didn't work with my wife and she kept going. Yeah, no, I don't think you're a jerk for saying this. Yeah, like this comment says, honestly, it sounds like OP's wife hit the mother-in-law lottery. A mother-in-law that wants absolutely nothing to do with you but isn't necessarily rude or trying to make your life miserable. That's a blessing. And yeah, not everybody wants to talk a lot. That's completely fine. Also, this comment, a soft to you the a-hole. Your mother-in-law cooked a feast for you and her. That's her way of showing love. That's what you should have said instead of saying that the love isn't there. Yeah, 100%. That makes a lot of sense. But also, at the same time, if the mother-in-law has tried to get them to stop talking like a few different times and they don't take the hint and they still keep trying to talk to them, then yeah, that's definitely a bit much, and I do understand why you said that to them. I'm keen to read your comments, guys. Am I the a-hole for overreacting after my wife lied about our baby's gender? I, 32 male, and my wife, 25 female, are expecting our first child. I've reacted in ways I'm now questioning, and I need outside perspective. Background, my childhood was a tumultuous one. Growing up, I always craved a strong male figure in my life. I never had that bond with my father, and I always envisioned having it with my son. My wife was aware of this deep-rooted desire. During her first pregnancy appointments, I was on an essential business trip. These trips, though draining, are critical since I'm the only breadwinner, trying to ensure a different life for my child than I had. In my absence, my wife and her adopted mother attended the checkups. Upon my return, she excitedly told me that we were having a boy. We invested emotionally and financially, a blue nursery, boy-themed items, even naming him after my late grandfather. However, a chance remark from her mother disclosed that we were having a girl. My wife admitted that she knew from the beginning but didn't tell me, thinking she was protecting my feelings. I was devastated, feeling the weight of past hurts and fresh betrayals. In my pain, I cleared out the nursery and in a moment I regret, told her mother that she wasn't welcome at upcoming family events, seeing her as part of the deceit. I acted out of deep-seated emotions and past traumas. I love my wife and I regret my reaction, but I feel lost. Am I the a-hole for how I responded? Yeah, like this comment says, why would you pack up the nursery? You're still having a baby. That baby will still need all the things in that nursery. Maybe this is a good chance for you to reconsider your attitudes to sex and gender, because spoiler alert, the baby doesn't care what color color their clothes and blankets are. And then also, like the top comment says, everybody sucks here. I can't imagine why she thought it would be less painful for you to think you were having a boy and then disappoint you later. Getting your hopes up accomplishes nothing. That said, you very much did overreact in clearing out the nursery and disinviting her mother from coming over. This reaction is crazy, and you talking about this pain and devastation surrounding having a girl is probably the reason she was afraid to tell you, because she probably wants to be excited about this child and didn't want to deal with you acting like it's something devastating that it's a girl. Also, you're projecting way too much for an unborn child. What if you did have a boy, but he wasn't interested in this intense father-son relationship that you're craving? Can any real-life father-son relationship actually even live up to the one in your head that's supposed to heal your past wounds? Your kids are real people. Don't set them up for failure by having all these weird expectations for how they'll better your existing traumas. Yeah, 1,000,000%. Wow, that was super well said. Yeah, like it is bad that they told you were having a boy when you weren't, but yeah, obviously they didn't want to tell you about it because of a reaction like this happening. Am I the a-hole for not telling my roommate that I owned the house? Brief backstory. About a year ago, my last remaining grandparent passed away and my father inherited all assets, including a house. I've been saving for a nice down payment, at least 50%, so I could have a lower mortgage payment each month, thus allowing me to save money for travel. When my father inherited this house, which he had no interest in moving into yet, he offered to sell it to me for slightly below market rate, with the caveat that he and my stepmother could eventually move into the basement apartment. I agreed because they're both incredible people who are not at all invasive and would definitely give me my privacy if they lived there. So I paid a 60% down payment, financed the rest and moved in. So present day, about 6 months ago, I started considering renting out the finished basement apartment. It has 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, a living room and a small kitchenette, sink and a fridge and a microwave, but no oven. A friend of mine said his brother was moving to the city and needed a place. He's a brand new teacher and doesn't make great money, so he needed a place that wasn't expensive. I offered to let him rent my basement for way less than market rate, $650, which would include utilities. He readily accepted and signed a year-long lease. Well, a few days ago, he asked if he could start paying the landlord directly instead of giving me rent money each month. I was under the impression that my friend had told him that I owned the house, so I was confused and I told him we don't have a landlord, I'm the owner. He got very upset and screamed at me for lying for over 6 months and taking advantage of him by making him pay so much rent. For the record, an apartment similar to the one in my house would be well over twice what he's paying me, closer to 3 times for something nice. He asked how much of my mortgage he's covering, and I said, why does that matter? You're getting a nice quiet place to live, access to a full kitchen and laundry room, and you're paying an amount that you can afford. My personal finances aren't really a factor here. He stormed out of the room and slammed the basement door and is still not speaking to me. I asked a few other friends and some family members, and most said that I'm wrong for having him cover my mortgage payments. What do you mean? Like, they're paying rent. Only a few say that I'm in the right. So am I the a-hole for having my roommate cover $650 of my $775 a month mortgage? Edit to add, he has a lease, so I won't be evicting him over this alone. If he does any damage or becomes hostile, I'll look at the eviction process. But for now, he will remain unless he chooses to break the lease, which I'd allow him to do so if he wants. He also didn't bother to read the lease before signing. The lease clearly states I'm the homeowner. I didn't trick him or keep info from him. He simply didn't read what he was signing, and I didn't get the house for almost free as some people choose to believe. My father sold it to me for about 75% of the value, more or less as an advance on rent that he and my stepmom will pay when they move in here in a few years. We already agreed that they won't pay rent every month, but they'll contribute to utilities and groceries at that time. I also made a 60% down payment, so I have quite a bit invested, as well as paying about $1,500 a month out of pocket for taxes, insurance and maintenance, and utilities, etc. Yeah, like the top comment says, oh my god, are they freaking serious? What is it that they think people do when they rent? They cover the landlord's mortgage payment? You're definitely not the a-hole, and quite honestly, do not renew the lease with this person. How entitled can a person be? I rented an Airbnb for a few months when I was new to the area. More precisely, I rented a bedroom. Yeah, I had access to the kitchen and a shared bathroom with whoever else were guests, and a shared laundry room and a pool, but still a bedroom. And that was more than what you're charging for a finished basement apartment. It sounds like your renter is gonna get sticker shock when he moves out. Tell everyone who thinks you're ripping the guy off to check the market rate for the area and then go kick rocks. Like what, were you supposed to let him stay for free? Again, not the a-hole, but I think I'd start looking for smarter friends. Yeah, for real, what do they expect? Like, do they really expect to let them live there for free? Surely not. There's a comment here from the person who made this. My family and friends think I should take it easy on him because he's a teacher and he's doing a good thing for kids, but I thought I was taking it easy by giving him cheap rent. Am I the a-hole for refusing to keep doing chores for my wife? I, 28 male, have been married to my wife Bella, 28 female, for 5 years. We both met and went to the same college. She was pre-law while I was doing animation. She graduated top of our class and went to a T20 law school. While she was in law school, I had a lot of trouble finding a job in my field, or a job at all really. I ended up working in a kitchen as a line cook to help support us, in addition to loans that she took out, while she was going to school so she could focus on her classes. Bella got a very good job in a different state after she graduated, so I quit my job and I haven't gotten another one since. We have no kids, a nice house for the two of us, and are overall living very comfortably. She works a very long hours, so I take care of most of the household things: cleaning, cooking, grocery shopping, repainting the walls, and doing other work and renovations. In the last 6 months, Bella started referring to me as her house husband around our family and friends. I've mostly been letting it go, but every single time it bothers me. I'm already insecure about not being able to find a good job, and this makes me feel even more inadequate. I finally got to the end of my rope when we were with her mother on Sunday, who still doesn't really approve of me, and they were talking about taking care of the lawn and garden, and she said, "Thank goodness I have a house husband for that, or I'd never find the time," and smiled at me, and then they both laughed, and it was humiliating. I didn't say anything at first, but I guess she could tell that I was really upset, and then asked me what was wrong. I told her that she needed to stop emasculating me and making it seem like I didn't contribute anything to the household. We were arguing back and forth, and she told me that she would stop calling me a house husband if I was going to get that upset about it, but that it was an untrue term and I needed to stop being so insecure. Bella refuses to apologize. I feel like she doesn't fully appreciate my value as her husband. I've stopped doing chores until she apologizes, and she's beyond pissed off. She's been coming home and cooking dinner only for herself and doing the chores I haven't, and then taking off to spend the night at a friend's house. I was talking to my sister about it, and she told me that Bella was wrong, but I was being immature in my response. The thing is, if I give in, she's gonna keep thinking what she's doing is okay. I don't even know anymore. Am I the a-hole? Yeah, you shouldn't have reacted like this. You went about this the wrong way. You need to communicate. And I don't think they're trying to emasculate you either. And if you have that much of an issue with it, like, either try and get to the bottom of it or go and get a job, I suppose. Like the top comment says, "Darling, you are a house husband. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Or being a housewife. Why do you believe that it's a put down or emasculating? It's an equal contribution to your family and household. It holds value. It permits your wife to work longer hours at her job without trying to also maintain the household. If you're truly unhappy in that role, do something about it. Look for work in your chosen field or look into going back for new qualifications. You the a-hole for getting upset about a factually correct statement." Also, like this comment says, "Nah, as a housewife myself, I'd be so annoyed if my husband said he has a housewife to take care of stuff. If it was, I'm so glad that my name takes care of all of that, it'd be fine. But to reduce your spouse to just their position rather than a person is demeaning." I agree with you though. I do think OP abandoning his position as a house husband to manipulate an apology is what makes him the a-hole, not being upset about it. It's an immature way to go about it, especially considering that she has committed to not refer to him as a house husband anymore. Am I the a-hole for putting an outside lock on my bathroom to prevent my wife from using it? My wife, 25 female, and I, 31 male, bought a house together about 6 months ago. This is our first time living together. Our house is an old American house that has been reformed many times. As a consequence of this, it has a silly layout where there are 2 bathrooms right next to each other that share the same wall. When we pulled the trigger on buying it, we made an agreement that I'd take the bathroom on the left with the shower and she'd take the one on the right with a bath. Hers is much more spacious than mine. I soon learned though that my wife preferred to use my bathroom, but only to defecate. She'll go and pee or take a bath or do her makeup in her own bathroom, but when the time comes to have a bowel movement, she only wants to use my toilet. I usually wouldn't mind this, but the issue is that she sits very far forward on the seat, which does leave streaks in the bowl virtually every time she goes. Ew, what? If you're using somebody else's toilet, you should leave it cleaner than you found it. I first tried approaching this civilly by asking her why she used my bathroom. She gave me a vague answer about preferring it. Then I asked if she could at least sit back a bit more. She said that it was none of my concern how she sat on the toilet. Yeah, well, it is if they're cleaning it up. I offered to change bathrooms with her, to which she said no thanks. Then I asked her to stop using it and she said it was her house too, so she'd be allowed to go wherever she wants. I'm honestly tired of opening the toilet lid to see her poop stuck to the bowl. The day before yesterday, I installed a lock on the door that I could open with a key. At first, she didn't seem to take the hint. She asked me for a key to the bathroom, to which I said no. Then, as she really had to go, she started to panic and asked me again and again to open it. I told her that she has a perfectly good toilet in her bathroom. She finally relented but came out of the bathroom extremely upset with me. She's been ticked off and demanding that I remove the lock since. Was I out of line here? No, not even a little bit. They obviously just don't want their bathroom to smell. So they're like, oh yeah, I'll just do it in yours. Yeah, like this comment says, not the a-hole. Why can't she do that in her own toilet? Does she not want to clean up her own mess? That's disgusting. Man, start doing it in her toilet. This is the only answer. Hit Taco Bell after a long night at the bars and absolutely destroy her toilet. Maintain eye contact while you do and then don't flush. Not the a-hole. Yeah, and I feel like that's enough of this subreddit for today. Time for something wholesome. Yesterday morning after his soccer game, my 6-year-old asked me how come the other team gets to change the color of their jerseys every week while we always had to wear purple. When I explained that in fact we were playing against different teams each week, his mind was blown. Oh, that's so funny. Why do they get a cool new jersey every single time? This is not fair. As a gay man, I was nervous to invite my boyfriend to my grandparents' house because of their traditional values. This was my grandpa's reply. Mum might have told you already, but my boyfriend is coming to dinner tonight. Hope that's okay. Splendid. Can he arm wrestle? Oh, that's so awesome. There will be arm wrestling and I hope that's okay. No, that's so nice though. That would have been super relieving. Tom Brown, retired engineer, has saved around 1,200 types of apples from extinction over 25 years. Wow, Tom Brown, you absolute legend. That's bloody awesome. Wow, so I've only read a little bit of this article here. It says here, detective work to help him locate the rural orchard which closed in 1859. Next, he enlisted a local hobby orchardist and a mailman as a guide. The two spent days knocking door to door asking about old apple trees. Eventually, an elderly woman led them to the remains of a mountain orchard that had long since been swallowed by forest. Brown returned during fruiting season and used historic records to identify a single gnarled Junaluska tree. He clipped some cyan wood for his new conservation orchard and set about reintroducing the apple to the world. Wow, that's incredible. And they've done that for lots of different apples. Yeah, what a legend. That's so cool. Thank you for watching, everybody. I hope you had a wonderful time. And if you did, you know what to do. Make sure you like and subscribe, all that fun stuff. And the comment of the day goes to Liz Lasery5311. As an owner of a Shiba Inu, I can verify that they always act like everything's okay, no matter what. I've seen my dog get the zooms and run into the entertainment center and keep going like nothing happened. Wow, that's so funny and so cute. Thank you for this comment, Liz. And yeah, guys, thank you for all your support. It means so much to me. Make sure you look after yourself and make sure you have a beautiful, amazing rest of your day. And you know what I'm about to say because I say it every single day. Bye!